That is show started. Okay. Okay, then today we are going to discuss the spirometry. Okay, or you can call it as a spirometer. So I think you are able to see the screen, and if you are having any problem, if my slides are not moving or if my audio is not visible, then you can interrupt me and you can intimate me that there is some problem from my side. Okay. So today we are going to discuss about the spirometry. Okay, it is a very simple topic. Okay, because all the important and very big topics had already been completed by us in like ECG, EMG, EEG, blood pressure. All this has been already completed. So the remaining topics that we are going to discuss in the rest of the classes are very small and we can complete it in one day. Okay. So today we are going to discuss about the spirometry or the spirometer. You can also call it as a spirometer. Or okay. So the what is the use of this instrument? Why we are using the spirometer? Okay. So the spirometer is an instrument which is used to measure the lung capacity. Okay. So if you want to measure the how much lung capacity, because the lung capacity will not be same for all, it will depend upon the, it will vary from person to person. Some persons may have higher lung capacity and some persons may have the lower lung capacity. It depends upon the personality of that person, right? Because like if he is a 6 feet person or 6.5 feet person and he is having a good weight, then then the lung capacity of that particular person will be more because he need more oxygen, and those who are smaller in size they may need less oxygen. So the lung capacity gets varied from person to person. Okay. So if you want to measure, okay, if you want to measure the lung capacity of a particular person, like if you are going to keep him on a ventilator, and if you there is some reasons you want to know his lung capacity, okay, so if you want to know his lung capacity, then the instrument that we are going to use for that particular application will be our spirometer. Okay, so the spirometer is able to measure the lung capacity and the lung volume. That means how much amount of how much volume of air that his lung is able to take in. Okay, if you want to, that will be a capacity and volume. Okay, so the first reason the what instrument is mainly used to measure lung capacity and the volume. Okay, so if any instrument which is used for measuring the lung capacity and volume, then that particular instrument is known as spirometer. Okay, so and if you are going to record this and that particular record, you are recording on a paper, so this particular record on a paper may be called as an spirogram, like similarly like in the ECG, electroencephalograph, like that. Okay, so if you are recording his lung capacity on a graph paper, then that is called as an spirogram. Okay, and in the coming on slides I am going to discuss about the graph, and through the graph I will try to explain you the different parts of your graph. Okay, so that I am going to explain you this spirograph itself. Okay, I am going to take this spirogram and then I am going to explain you the different parts of your spirogram. Okay, so just remember this particular one. Okay, the spy instrument that we are using to measure the lung capacity or volume is called as a spirometer, and if you are recording the lung capacity and volume, then that particular record is known as your spirogram here. Okay, and then coming on to the basics of spirogram. Okay, so basics what I will discuss about this device. Okay, are you able to see the diagram here?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the basics of spirogram I am going to discuss about that itself. Okay, so basically the spirogram, if you are taking a basic spirogram, so the basic spirogram you can see on the screen, this is known as the basic water sealed spirogram. Okay, so it is very basic construction, very simple construction. There will be a inverted bowl like this, and here we can see we are having a water here and here, you can see here. So here and here we are having the water, and then in on the upper side of this a inverted drum has been placed. First a drum is taken and it is having two columns, and in the two columns the water has been filled here. Okay, and that inverted drum has been taken, and this particular inverted drum has been floated upon the water. Okay, and then a tube has been connected, and this tube is going to be kept in the patient mouth or the patient circuit from where whose lung capacity you need to measure. Okay, and what is the purpose of this inverted drum? Okay, so this inverted drum will move up and down, and when it is moved up and down, you can see here this inverted drum on the other side has been connected to an weight via a pulley. Okay, you can see a pulley system here and a counterweight here. So this particular inverted drum has been attached to a counterweight via a pulley. Okay, and the pointer has been placed on the pulley weight side, and this pointer is going. This is a pen, or you can call it as a pen. So this pen is going to move upon a graph paper, and that particular graph is known as kymograph. Okay, so let me explain you again. Okay, it is very simple construction. First, you are going to take a drum which is having two columns, and the two columns of the drum will be filled by water. Okay, and then other drum will be taken which will be floating upon the water. Okay, and then the drum will be tied up to a counterweight and via a pulley. That means this is the counterweight is going to hang upon the pulley. That means it is they are capable of pulling the drum upward, but it will initially it will balance. That means the weight of the this weight and this will be in such a way that it will balance this inverted drum or the floating drum. You can call it as a floating drum as I have written here. Okay, you can call it as an floating drum. So counterweight has been connected to this floating drum via a pulley here. Okay, and then we are connecting a pointer, and this pointer is going to move upon a graph, and that particular graph is known as kymograph. Okay, so have you understood till now?
तो मतलब सर हम स्पायरोग्राम को काइमोग्राफ कह सकते हैं?
काइमोग्राफ नहीं कह सकते, जिस ग्राफ पेपर पे आप उसको प्लॉट करते हो उस ग्राफ पेपर का नाम काइमोग्राफ है, लेकिन इसका नाम स्पायरोग्राम है। ये जो प्लॉट आएगा इस प्लॉट को आप लोग स्पायरोग्राम ही बुलाते हो, इस पेपर को हम लोग काइमोग्राफ बोल रहे हैं।
ओके 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 फाइन सर,
ओके,
थैंक्स।
So now let us see the operation. Whenever the patient exhales or you may inhale. Okay, let us consider first he is exhaling out. That means he is uh, giving the air out. Okay, so this air will travel via this tube and then it will produce some pressure here, right? So because of that, this particular drum will move up because this is just a floating drum, right? If some pressure applies on that from this side, like if a pressure apply like this, it will move up. Or if a pressure comes down, it will move down. So that means first initially let us consider the exhalation case. Okay, exhalation case. So when he exhales out, so the air will move in this direction. So it will push the floating drum up. When the floating drum moves up, so what happens? This particular counterweight will move down. When this particular counterweight move down, then what happens? This pointer will also definitely move down. Okay, and then now he inhales. When he inhales, a pulling downward force will apply on the drum. That means the drum will start moving downwards. When the drum moves downwards, then this particular counterweight will move upward because this is a pulley system. If you pull here, it will lift here, right? So when this counterweight moves upwards, so this pointer also move upward. So in exhalation down, inhalation up, exhalation down, inhalation up. So in this way, you will get a continuous graph like this. Okay, so I will explain you again. So let me repeat it again. So don't consider that this is an empty chamber. This is an oxygen chamber here. Okay, and oxygen will get replaced because you are connecting the tube here. So he is getting the air from this particular empty space. So this space will be filled by oxygen. Well, if you exhale out, the carbon dioxide will be released out, and again it will be filled by the oxygen. So here completely you are having the oxygen here. Okay, the first thing. When he exhales out, okay, so the air coming out from the patient circuit will push this drum upwards. When you are pushing this upward in this direction, definitely this counterweight will move. Let me erase everything. Okay, so when this patient exhales out, okay, so the force will push this drum upwards. Okay, when this push this drum upwards, the counterweight will move definitely downwards. Okay, so when the counterweight moves downward, the pointer will move downwards and you are going a groundward graph. And now we are not able to exhale completely, right? Again you start inhaling. So when you start inhaling, so what happens? The drum will move downwards, because inhalation means there will be force applied upon drum and drum will move downwards. This is a floating drum. So when this move downwards, the counterweight will move definitely upwards. When this move in upward direction, so what happens? The pointer will move upward direction. So in this way, it will continuously plot the graph depending upon how forcefully you are exhaled and inhaled. Okay. So this is how this particular kymograph is going to plot a curve here. That means this particular spirometer is going to plot a spirogram on a kymograph. Okay. So have you understood the operation of this spirograph? Gram or spirometer?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so now let us discuss what will be different parts of this graph, because if we are exit out, it is moving down, up, so it may similar, it will look like a sine wave, but it will not be a sine wave. So let us see what will happen here. Okay, so this is how your graph is going to look like. Okay, so this is how your graph is going to look like. Okay, so you can see here till now, till here, if you see 1 minute, you can see here till here the it is looking like a sine wave, right? Sorry, up to here you can say. Okay, so it is looking like a sine wave, but after that it suddenly dipped down, suddenly lifted up. So why this is happening? Okay, so this particular part of curve happen because of normal inhalation and normal exhalation. That means the doctor or whoever taking the whoever operating the spirometer, he will instruct the patient to take a normal breathing. That means normally breathe in and normal breathe out. Normal breathe in, normal breathe out. So if you are doing a normal respiration process, so there will be no variation in the inhalation exhalation volume of air, because it will be normal, so it will be inside the normal range. So that's why you are getting a continuous normal graph here. Okay, sudden dip, the sudden dip happened here. Okay, this sudden dip happened because here the patient is instructed to exhale forcefully. That means he is instructed to exhale in such a way that how much amount of air he can exhale, he is instructed to blow all the air out. So when he forcefully exhales out, so definitely yeah, he exhales more amount of volume out. Okay, so this particular lower curve has been come because of that, and here he is instructed to a completely inhale. That means how much amount of air he can take in. He is instructed to take in. So definitely he is going to take more air. So this is how the curve is going, and there are various terms here. Okay, inspiration volume, all these terms. I will explain you one by one via graph. Let us divide this graph and then I will explain you. Okay. So have you seen the graph here?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, so the parts of the graph I will explain you. I will give you step by step so that you can understand the graph along with the parts. Okay, so let me move into the other part. Okay, so the first one, the lung volume, or you can call it as a tidal volume. Okay, so the tidal volume, which we had also listened this word in our ventilators part also. So how the tidal volume of our lung, the tidal volume of your lung can be measured by using the spirometer. How we are going to do that, right? So let us see. So that definitely the graph of the spirometer, on the x-axis you are going to have the time, and the y-axis you are going to have a volume here. Like you can see here also volume and the time. Time will be in seconds and volume will be in milliliters. It will not in liters. You are not able to capture the liters of air. That means you can take up to 6 liters of air, but it will take the graph will be taken in milliliters. Okay, 1000 milliliters, 2000, 3000, 4000, 5000, 6000. That means maximum I think the human can able to take up to 6000 milliliters. That means 6 liters. Okay, so okay, so it may vary. It is not we are going to this graph, but I don't know whose spirometer data it is. He is having a maximum. He can his capacity is 6 liters. About that, he is not having the capacity to take the air. Okay, so let us see the first term, that is lung volume. Okay, so the lung volume is also called as a tidal volume here. Okay, so the tidal volume means when I instruct the patient to take a normal inspiration and normal expiration. So this is because of normal inspiration, normal expiration, normal inspiration, normal expiration. So this particular curve is known as tidal volume. Okay. So if you are taking the amount of volume of this, so this particular volume of air which has been taken by the patient during normal inspiration and expiration, you are adding the both inspiration and expiration, the amount of air taken during the inspiration and amount of air given out during the inspiration. So this particular volume will be called as an tidal volume here. Okay, there will be no negative line here, so don't think that this will be like in the electronics, this will be positive curve, so this will be plus 1000 ml and this will be negative 12, so minus 1000 ml, so plus and minus will be 0 ml, not like that. Okay, you can see here there is no negative axis. The curve will start from the origin and it will move up. So if I say to you to calculate the tidal volume, so this will be positive curve and this will be negative curve. So you have to take the positive curve peak and negative peak and you have to add the both and you have to return it as volume, tidal volume. Okay, there will be no that it will be up, it is upper, it is lower, so it will be positive, it will be negative. No, not like that, because my zero axis is here. Okay, so how much of inhalation you have done, how much of exhalation you have done, just add both of them. And remember that the tidal volume will be the addition of inhalation and exhalation volume under normal respiration process. It will be only normal respiration. Okay. So have you understood the tidal volume here?
Yes, sir.
So let us move to the other part. Okay, so up to here it is called as tidal volume. That means the amount of air, volume of air inhaled and exhaled during normal inspiration and expiration process is known as tidal volume. So now I had instructed the patient to inspire how much amount of air he can inspire. Okay, so I had said that take how much amount of air you can able to take in. Okay, so he has taken in, so his curve has been increased up to this point. Okay, so from here, okay, from here to here, this particular amount of air which he had taken, okay, this is known as your inspiratory reserve volume. That means during normal respiration. Okay, during normal respiration only this much amount of volume of my lung is used, right? That means my remember that this is the amount of air that we are taking, but the volume that we are measuring is the volume of your lung. Okay, if your lung is having sufficient amount of volume, then only the sufficient amount of air will come into your lung, right? If your lung is not having the sufficient amount of volume, then that much of air will not come in, because the amount of air coming into your lungs will depend upon your lung volume, right? That means if you are able to take 1 ml of, let me explain you through the example. If you are taking 1 liter, okay, my tidal volume is 1 liter. Okay, that means it doesn't mean that normally I am taking 1 liter. That means my lung capacity is 1 liter. No, okay, the lung capacity will not be decided like that. So it is during normal respiration. You have been sit and relaxed and you are taking the air. During the relaxation phase, the amount of volume, the air you are taking is less. That means only some part of your lung. If you consider a complete lung, I am not able to plot the complete lung. This is my complete lung. So during normal respiration, that means normally taking in, taking out, only some part of my lung is going to take in and take out there. That means the remaining part of my lung will be ideal. That means it will be reserved, right? If when you are running, when I make you to run or do some exercise, then your respiration rate may increase. So then some part of the remaining amount of lung will be used, and for the additional amount of air required for my body parts during any exercise or running, right? Okay, so this particular extra amount of air that I are able to inspire is is because of the this air has gone where this part is already going to some part of your lung. Let me consider this is my lung, So during tidal volume, that means normal inspiration expiration. So this much amount of part of my lung is taking the air in and giving the air out, taking the air in and giving the air out. Okay, that means this much of amount of air is volume of my lung is during the tidal volume respiration. So when I taken more amount of air, so this particular extra amount of air that is coming into the lung will go to some extra part of my lung, right? So actually this particular part is not coming at the time of normal respiration, right? This is coming into the play when we are taking excess amount of air. That means this is my reserved capacity, which is reserved for more amount of respiration apart from the normal respiration, right? So that's why curve this curve represent my reserved volume of my lung, which is taking the extra amount of air apart from my normal respiration, right? This extra part of my lung which is taking extra respiration will be useful when you are running or doing some exercise, because during the running or exercise your body parts need additional amount of oxygen. So at that time this particular reserved capacity of my lung will come into play, take the air in and give the air out for my body parts. Okay, okay. So this is reserved for respiration, right? So that's why this particular inspiration apart from the tidal volume is called as an inspiratory reserve volume. Okay, so have you understood this word?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the next part. Okay, so now after that here I had instructed the patient to exhale maximum amount of air he can able to exhale. So he had exhaled the maximum amount of air. Okay, so he had exhaled this much extra. That means in during my normal respiration, this much amount of volume of air is during the respiration process. When I inhaled, so this much amount of part is taking part in the inspiration. So when I exhale, so some additional part is also doing the exhalation process, right? So this particular exhalation is done by some part of my lung apart from the part that is taking in the tidal volume, the part, okay, during the tidal volume this part is doing the respiration process. But when I instructed the patient to have the maximum exhalation, okay, so some part of my lung is giving the extra air out, which means that part of the lung is reserved for extra expiration, right? So that's why that particular volume of lung is known as expiratory reserve volume. Okay, so have you understood this word, expiratory reserve volume?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the next thing, now again I instructed the patient to have normal respiration. Okay, so now see this, now see here. Okay, so this particular volume of air is for tidal volume during the normal inspiration expiration. This is reserved for more amount of inspiration, this is reserved for more amount of expiration. Then what about this, what about this? This is not taking part either in a normal respiration or either extra inspiration or either extra exhalation. So this part of my lung is not doing anything, and this part of the lung which is not taking place in the respiration is known as your residual volume. Okay, the part of my lung which is not taking part in the respiration process is known as my residual volume here. Okay, and then if you want to calculate the inspiration capacity of my lung, so this amount is my tidal volume and this amount is my extra inspiration reserve volume. So if you are going to add the tidal volume and the reserve volume, so you are going to get the inspiratory capacity. Similarly, if you are adding the tidal volume and the reserved expiration volume, so this will be going to your exhalation capacity. Okay, so have you understood this?
सर वन
uh,
डाउट
uh,
सर, ये जो टाइडल वॉल्यूम में इंस्पिरेशन और एक्सपिरेशन दोनों का पार्ट आता है है ना? तो ये जो इंस्पिरेटरी कैपेसिटी है, इसमें अगर हम पूरा टाइडल वॉल्यूम लेंगे तो एक्सपिरेशन का पार्ट नहीं आएगा?
देखो, जैसा टाइडल वॉल्यूम आप देखेंगे, सो देखिए जैसे कि आपको मैं बता रहा हूँ, देखिए सो यहाँ से ये पूरा कर्व इंस्पिरेशन का कर्व है, ठीक है? तो यहाँ से ये पूरा कर्व एक्सीलरेशन का कर्व है, मतलब इस पर्टिकुलर कर्व को देखिए. सो इफ यू सी दिस पार्ट ऑफ द कर्व, वन साइड ऑफ द कर्व इज हैविंग द इंस्पिरेशन and one side of the curve is having the expiration. So when you are calculating the inspiration capacity, that means the part which is taking part in the inspiration, the same part is going to take part in the expiration, right? Then you can't ignore this part, right? Because like if you are having the lung like this, so if your air is coming in, okay, and gas exchange happen, and then air come getting out, so the air is coming in the same part and going out also in the same part, right? So you cannot ignore this part, and you cannot break this part into two parts, because this complete part is taking up part into both inspiration and expiration, right? So that's why I had added the complete tidal volume. That means that in the tidal volume, if you see, one side of the curve will be inspiration and one side of the curve will be expiration. So that's why the tidal volume can be easily can easily viewed from the curve. So don't consider blindly that if my tidal volume is inspiration plus expiration, that means inspiration flow means I will break this tidal volume into two parts and then I will add the inspiration to this. Don't do like that, okay? Do from the curve perspective, like you can see here. So here the acceleration, like here inspiration happened and then acceleration happened. Now I had instructed the patient to have the maximum acceleration. So first he goes to the normal inspiration phase and then he takes the maximum inspiration phase. Now if you see the inspiration capacity, this is also inspiration and this is also inspiration. So if I see the inspiration, so this will be my inspiration, right? Then it is matched here. Okay, so that is why I had taken like that.
Okay sir, fine.
अभी क्लियर नहीं हुआ है क्या?
नहीं सर, हो गया थोड़ा सा.
तो कर्व से आप क्लासिफाई कर लीजिए, जैसा आपको ये सब एरेस करने दीजिए. Just see from the curve. I had said that tidal volume will be the amount of volume of air. So don't go to the term that inspiration plus expiration is equal to tidal volume. उस term में मत जाइए, ठीक है? Just forgot this term, okay? For time being, forgot this curve. Now see in terms of lung capacity. This is my lung. So during the inspiration and expiration, so the air is coming in into this part and going out of this part. So the inspiration has come into this part, right? And expiration also happened in this part itself. And when I take an extra air, so the extra air has come into this part. So if I am calculating the inspiration capacity, so this particular part is taking part in the normal inspiration and this particular part is taking part in the extra inspiration. So this complete part will be my inspiration capacity. Similarly, if you are calculating the expiration capacity, this complete part will be your expiration capacity. So inspiration and expiration capacity may be equal if you go through the terms, but sometimes what happens with the patient means some patients are capable of taking maximum inspiration, but they may not be capable of giving the maximum expiration out. They will not capable of giving the maximum out. So though I had explained you for the time being that the same part is, that means inspiration capacity and expiration capacity will be equal, but in the practical condition this will not be equal. But don't get confused with the inspiration plus expiration equal to tidal volume. Just consider that the amount of air that taking part in the respiration during the amount of volume of air taking part in the inspiration, taking part in the respiration doing normal respiration will be the tidal volume. So this is will be inspiration and this will be expiration. So just consider this. Here my expiration gets completed. So when I inspire, so this will be normal and this will be my maximum. So if I want to, like if you go through the formula, if I want to write the maximum inspiration capacity, this is my normal inspiration and this will be my extra inspiration. So I have to, this will be my inspiration capacity, right? Normal inspiration, maximum inspiration, right? So that's it I have represent here. Okay.
Okay sir, thanks sir.
So now this part will be my expiration capacity, which I have not mentioned here. Okay, and then let's move to the other part. Okay. And then if you are going to calculate the vital capacity, so this particular complete part, okay, that means from here to here, this is called my vital capacity. That means normal inspiration, normal tidal volume, maximum inspiration, maximum expiration. If you take complete curve, then that will be your tidal capacity. Okay, so vital capacity. And then if you are adding the residual volume to this vital capacity, then you are going to get the total lung capacity. This will be your complete lung capacity. That means if I am adding the, as I said, that the tidal volume plus inspiration reserve volume, expiration reserve volume, so these three will be together called as an vital capacity. And if you are adding the residual volume to this vital capacity, then you are going to get the total lung capacity. This will be my total lung capacity of my lung or whatever the patient who is taking. Okay, the complete curve from here to here, or you can see here. That means for the vital capacity, if you take part in the reserve capacity, residual volume, so it will be your total lung capacity. Okay. So these are the terms. Okay, let me, you can see here. Okay, tidal volume, the volume of gas inspired or expired during normal quiet breathing is known as tidal volume, which I had explained you from the curve. And then inspiration reserve volume, the volume of gas which can be inhaled additional after normal respiration. Okay, so if you see from the curve, if you want inhalation reserve volume, okay, if you want this inhalation reserve volume, then what you need to do? This is my complete vital capacity, right? This is my complete vital capacity. From the complete vital capacity, I need to, what are the terms I need to minus? Okay, so you can also consider this part, expiration reserve volume and the residual volume. You can consider this part as a functional residual capacity, which is called as an FRC. This is another term given to that. Okay, so I will again summarizing the parts. Okay, so that you don't have any confusion. Okay, so the amount of volume that is taking part in quiet breathing is known as tidal volume. You can see here. So this is my inspiration reserve volume, this is my expiration reserve volume. If I add the inspiration reserve volume to the tidal volume, that is called as an inspiration capacity. Okay, if I add the expiration reserve volume to the residual volume, then it is called as a functional residual capacity, or FRC, functional residual capacity. And if I add the tidal volume, inspiration reserve volume and expiration reserve volume together, then it is called as an vital capacity. If I add everything, tidal volume, inspiration reserve volume, expiration reserve volume and residual volume, then it is known as my total lung capacity. Okay, so now if I ask you to calculate the inspiration reserve volume, IRV, if I ask you to calculate the IRV, then how you are going to calculate? So first you are going to take the vital capacity, that means this complete part. Okay, some mistake is there in the, okay, 1 minute. One minute. Let me check it. Vital capacity minus total volume plus FRC. What is this nonsense happening here? Total volume. TV means total volume. Sorry, tidal volume. Okay. Okay, so now see, I want to measure this inspiration reserve volume. Okay, that means I want this particular part. Okay, so that will be, I am taking the complete tidal vital capacity. So this will be my complete vital capacity. Okay, so now what I am doing, so from this complete vital capacity, I am going to minus, so tidal volume. First take the tidal volume. This will be my tidal volume, right? And it is not the vital capacity, this is the total capacity. Okay, if you take the total capacity and if you are going to add this and this, okay, so that there is some error in the formula. Okay, here the VC will be vital capacity, but not here. You cannot take the VC where you are going to take the total lung capacity. Okay, if you know the total lung capacity, okay, if you know the total lung capacity, then you need to minus in the total lung capacity what you are going to, and you know the tidal volume and you know the functional residual volume FRC. So if you add the tidal volume to the FRC, then you are going to get this complete part, right? So VC plus FRC. So you are going to get this complete part. Now if you minus this complete part from the total capacity, from this part, okay, then you are going to get the inspiration reserve volume, right? So here it will be not TV, sorry, it will be not VC, it will be total lung capacity, TLC. Okay, so have you understood the how you are going to get the inspiration reserve volume? So just take the total lung capacity and then minus from the total lung capacity. First try to add the tidal volume and the FRC. FRC will be ERV, inspiration reserve volume plus residual volume, right? So if you add the tidal volume to this FRC, then you are going to get this complete part, right? And if you minus this complete part from the total lung capacity, that means from the total, if you minus this, then you are going to get this particular inspiration reserve volume. So have you understood? समझ में आया नहीं आया?
आ गया सर.
बाकी लोगों का आया? बाकी लोग सोते रहते हैं क्या यार?
Yes sir, आ गया.
ठीक है. So the next one is expiratory reserve volume, the volume of air which can be exhaled additional after normal exhalation. Okay, if you want to calculate the ERV, it will be FRC minus RV. As I had said that FRC will be this part, right? And RV will be this part. If you are from the FRC, if you are minusing this part, RV, then you are going to get the ERV, expirational reserve volume, right? So that's it here given. FRC minus RV will be expirational reserve volume. Okay, have you understood this one?
Yes sir.
So next, the reserve volume, the volume of gas remaining in the lung after forced and maximal exhalation. If you have done maximum exhalation, still there is some gas there in your lung, then that particular gas is known as residual volume. Okay, and then vital capacity, the greatest volume of gas that can be inhaled by the voluntary effort after maximum exhalation is called it means what is vital capacity means you had inhaled maximum and you had exhaled maximum. So this particular maximum inhalation and exhalation that you can do together is known as your vital capacity here. Okay, and then inspiration capacity, the maximum volume that can be inspired. FRC will be okay. So total lung capacity will be vital capacity plus RV as you see here. Okay, if you as you see here, the vital capacity is this one. Then you are adding a reserve volume, then it will be your total lung capacity. Okay, and there is another term which is known as your dead space. Okay, so what is dead space? Dead space is a functioning volume of lung that does not participate in gas exchange. Okay. Actually, it is not residual volume. Residual volume means this particular volume will consist of air, but it is not going to come out or not, it is not going to come out. It will be there in the lungs. Okay, and there is some other part known as the dead space. So dead space means either the air will not go in there or either the air will not come out from that particular part of the lung. That means it is not taking part in the expiration process. Residual volume is not that one. Actually, the residual volume means if you are taking inhalation, the air may come inside this residual volume. But if you are exhaling out, so all the air in every part of the lung will exhale, but in the air that is there in the residual volume, it is not going to get out. So this particular gas present in the lung, which is not going out during the maximum exhalation phase, is known as your residual volume. But what is the dead space? Dead space means that particular part of your lung which is not taking part in any respiration process. Either the air not goes in or either the air goes out. That part of the lung is not taking part in the gas exchange. So that part is known as the dead space. But the residual volume means during the inspiration, the air may go in this part. But if you are doing the maximum exhalation, still some part of the air will be there which is not going to come out during the exhalation. So that particular part of the air is known as volume of air is known as residual volume. Okay, so have you understood the terms?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So I had just done a mistake. I had said the residual volume will be the part which is not going to take any gas exchange. I had done a mistake. The residual volume will be that part. The air may come in that part during the inspiration, but it may not go out because the gas may be there. That is called as a residual volume. The part which is not going to take part in the respiration, which is not taking any part in the respiration, that particular volume of lung is known as dead space. Okay, so this is your spirometer. This is LVAD. This is not. I am not going to discuss that. Don't get worried. LVAD. Okay, so this is your spirometer. Okay, so I will mail both the topics to you, the spirometer and the pulse oximeter, right? I think I had completed these two.